The impact of Miles Davis on jazz. If you're curious about how one person can shape an entire genre of music, you're about to find out just how significant Miles Davis was to jazz. Let's explore his journey and the profound impact he had. Miles Davis started his career in the 1940s playing with Charlie Parker, but it wasn't until he moved away from the fast-paced bebop that he really made his mark. In the late 1940s, Davis was instrumental in developing cool jazz, a more relaxed and introspective sound. This new style was showcased in the album Birth of the Cool, which featured a nonet with musicians like Jerry Mulligan and Lee Konitz. This album introduced a cooler, more laid-back style with subtle harmonies and a greater emphasis on composition. In the 1950s, Davis's career saw a major resurgence after his appearance at the Newport Jazz Festival in 1955. He formed a new quintet with musicians like John Coltrane, Philly Joe Jones, and Red Garland. This quintet, along with later additions like Bill Evans and Cannonball Adderley, became a force in jazz, both live and in the studio. The album Kind of Blue, released in 1959, is a prime example of this period. It introduced modal jazz, where musicians improvise over simplified chord structures based on scales or modes. This album remains the best-selling jazz album of all time and has influenced generations of musicians. Davis's innovation didn't stop there. In the 1960s, he assembled a new band, often referred to as his second great quintet, with musicians like Herbie Hancock, Wayne Shorter, Ron Carter, and Tony Williams. This group introduced post-bop, a style that combined free jazz with structured composition. They broke down conventional soloist and rhythm section approaches, allowing for a more spontaneous and democratic musical expression. In the late 1960s and early 1970s, Davis took another bold step by incorporating elements of rock and funk into his music. This period, marked by albums like Jack Johnson, Live Evil, On the Corner, and Agartha, saw him experimenting with electric instruments and backbeats. This fusion of jazz with rock and funk not only redefined electronic jazz, but also boosted the careers of musicians like John Scofield, Marcus Miller, and Kenny Garrett. Throughout his career, Davis was known for his ability to adapt and reinvent himself. He never lost touch with his roots, but continually pushed the boundaries of what jazz could be. His collaborations with younger musicians kept his music fresh and relevant, even in the 1980s when he made a significant comeback. Miles Davis's impact on jazz is immense. He transformed the genre multiple times, from cool jazz to modal jazz, post-bop, and fusion. His influence extends beyond jazz, with musicians across genres like rock and hip-hop citing him as a major influence. His fearlessness in experimenting with new sounds and his dedication to artistic innovation have made him a timeless figure in music history. In essence, Miles Davis's career mirrors the evolution of jazz itself, and his contributions have left an indelible mark on the music world.